I'm Ben from BXM, and today I'm going to go through everything you need for your DofE expedition. So we're going to start off with a rucksack. You need a rucksack that's about 65 litres. Anything more, to be honest with you, you just fill it with too much stuff. And anything smaller, you probably can't fit everything in it you need. You're then going to need a sleeping bag. And the sleeping bags these days, you can either get down sleeping bags or synthetic sleeping bags. The first thing I'm going to say is with down, you just don't need it for DofE. That's down jackets, down sleeping bags. You just don't need them in the UK. So that's anything like goose feather or duck feather. So then we move on to synthetic. We're still on the sleeping bag. So synthetic sleeping bag. You get 1 season, 2 season, 3 season or 4 season. Now for DofE, a 3 season is about right. A 1 season covers your body. A 2 season is good for the summer. Nice warm nights. And a 4 season obviously will keep you warm all year round. The downside about a 4 season sleeping bag, although it keeps you much warmer at night, it's much more bulky and much heavy. So we stick with a 3 season sleeping bag. Then we have a sleeping mat. And a sleeping mat is either a foam sleeping mat, which is like the traditional roll-up mats you often see on military bergens, or also you get the self-inflating mats, which self-inflate to about 2.5 to 3 centimetres thick, something like that. Now ultimately with any sleeping mat, the most important thing, just like the sleeping bag, is to keep them dry, which we'll come to a bit later. So we've got our sleeping bag, our sleeping mat and our rucksack. Once we've got those, we then need to look at what other clothing we need. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start bottom to top. So we're going to need some boots. Now walking boots are definitely best. At bronze level you can kind of get away with trail shoes at times, but always stick to walking boots. You've got ankle support, they're much more durable, you've got good laces which will keep them snug on your foot to stop you getting blisters, and you can look for really good grip and a really rigid sole as well. You then got trousers. Now trousers, the only main rule here is that you don't use denim. So you might have some sort of sports trousers that work, but ultimately if you were going to invest in something, go to an outdoor shop, something like Go Outdoors, and get yourself some good outdoor trousers. Now what they're good for is they stretch, they're durable, it doesn't matter if they get muddy, they wash easily, some of them even wick the moisture away from your body, much like a base layer. So that's trousers, so no denim is the main rule there. You can kind of get away with sports trousers and things like that. Top layer, we've got a base layer. That's the layer that's on your skin. The main rule here is no cotton. So a base layer is designed to wick the moisture away from your body and dry very quickly if it gets wet. So that's either wet from the rain or sweat maybe, when you're working hard. So a base layer is important. Now you can use sports tops, football tops these days, hockey tops. They're all forms of base layer that also have got some thermal attributes as well. The big difference between a cheap base layer and an expensive base layer is often the attributes they put in it. They'll probably do the same job. They'll dry in the same amount of time. The difference will be an expensive one might last 3 days before you start smelling. A cheap one might start smelling after an hour, but hey, we're on expedition and everyone stinks anyway. So then we move on to the mid layer. This is a fleece or a windproof layer, if you like. So this is the layer that's going to keep you warm. Now we advise not to get thick fleeces, so potentially 2 thin fleeces on what we call micro fleece is better than 1 thick one. You might actually have sweatshirts that do the job for this, and that's perfectly adequate. But at bronze level, when you get to gold level in mountainous terrain, you do want some micro fleeces. And then we got the outer layer. So we've had the base layer, the mid layer, and now we've got the outer layer, which is like this, what I'm wearing here, a waterproof jacket. A waterproof jacket should have a hood, should have a good zip, either a waterproof durable zip or a flap over the zip. And you should always check the inside of your jacket to make sure that the seams are taped. If you don't know what that means, look on the inside of the jacket, use your fingers, and you'll feel that it's got a tape running along each cotton seam that you'll have over the jacket. So that's really important. If it hasn't got that, it's definitely not going to be waterproof. The other things you might want to think about are waterproof trousers, certainly at silver and gold level. The same rules apply. You want to make sure the seams are taped. Now they're just really good as a windproof layer as well. Particularly if in the summer you were going to wear shorts, you got up on a high ridge and it became windy, you can just whip your waterproof trousers on and it just works really well. The only other bits of clothing you're going to need are gloves and a hat. Doesn't matter what time of year you go, you're going to need to take gloves with you. You do not want cold fingers at any time. And in the summer, you might want to take a sun cap, and in the winter, a beanie hat or a bobble hat. Either way, always take a hat, whatever expedition you're going on. Now with base layer, mid layer and trousers, what you need is 2 sets. Now there's a reason for this. If we call one set a dry set and one set a wet set. The dry set is the set you're going to wear every day. This is your plan. You're going to wear the same set every day. Now if that gets wet, perhaps it rains on your very first day. As you get into your tent at night, the trick is to keep everything that goes inside the tent dry. So as you get into your tent, you take off your wet, horrible clothes, put them in your porch and put your dry, nice, warm clothes on. In the morning, the next morning, you get up and you put your wet clothes back on. Now that sounds uncomfortable and sounds horrible, but there's really no point having to carry around another wet set of clothes and then get your other set wet. So we have 2 sets, what we call our wet set and our dry set. And your dry set should never ever get wet. You wear them at night, you keep yourself comfortable, but you never get them wet. That's the main golden rule. So you don't need 3 jumpers and 4 pairs of trousers, just 2 sets. Keep it easy and your bag will be nice and light. So the only other things that we need, I should have mentioned some walking socks, a couple of pairs of walking socks. Again, you don't need too many. You need a head torch. Always take a head torch on DofE. Don't take a handheld torch. Get yourself a head torch. You're going to need a compass, and any compass is good, but it does need to have one straight side like this one in the video here. And then you're going to need some something to eat out of, so maybe a mess tin or a bowl or something like that. Then you're going to need knife, fork and spoon, and you're going to need something to drink out of. Now we advise you to bring 2 1-litre bottles. If it's going to be a heat wave or really hot weather, unlikely in England I know, so take 3 1-litre bottles. And don't take 1 big 2-litre bottle, have 2 1-litre bottles, just in case you need to purify anything or put boiled water, or you want to even out your pack. We will give you your tents, and we'll give you your stoves and your gas and your maps, so you just need to bring those essentials. Don't bring extra. That's what I always say to people. Don't bring extra clothes, or don't bring extra belongings that you just don't need, because it will just weigh your pack down. And you've got to remember, whatever you pack at home, when you get to your expedition, they're going to give you a bit of a tent to carry, a bit of a stove to carry. So your bag's going to be heavier. Make sure you turn up with your water bottles full also. So that's everything you need for DofE in a nutshell. There's a kit list on our website. There's also a video on how to pack your rucksack, and we really advise and ask that you come with your rucksack packed exactly as that is. So thanks very much for listening to this. Hopefully we'll see you out on expedition. Enjoy.